Hi guys, I'm working on decorating the signatures, the inside signatures of this journal today. This is part 5 of the junk journal Gluebook art journal. Boy, did I land a name with that one. Um, I'm liking it more and more. I'm really pleased with it. I have some sort of little embellishments that I have made myself. These are bright colored with black and white dots, my kind of doodles. And then I have the black and white embellishments that I'm going to be using that are just black acrylic paint marker on white mixed media paper. All, of course, fussy cut out. Then I have these words. They were in a box. I got them somewhere at a thrift store that said things like something like things your mom says. Anyways, I'm going to use those. Not all of them are appropriate, but there's a saying on each side. So I'm going to use those 3 elements throughout. I am also using this Tombow aqua glue. Every once in a while, I don't use my art glitter glue for a reason. Sometimes I need to be able to move the element. And art glitter glue, the minute it sticks, it's stuck. And I wanted to be able to shift things just a little bit if I needed to. The Tombow glue is one I've used before and really like. And this particular time I decided I kind of needed it to be able to shift as I worked with it. I'm looking for the right sentiment here. I kind of laid out the design pretty quickly. I'm not going to do anything super fancy. I just I want something pleasing on each of the pages I'm going to work on today. I did decide that on the sayings, I wanted them to look a little more, I don't know, like a ticket or a statement instead of just a little square stuck on there. And I'm edging them in black. If you haven't noticed, I did speed up the video. If you want to watch it in slow motion, please go right ahead. But there was almost 2 hours of video, so I know that that's much too long to sit and watch. Even after I edged saying the words, I decided they weren't quite standing out the way I wanted them to. I'm really liking how this looks, but the words just weren't popping off the page. So I decided they needed some, like a border around it. So I had this black paper sitting nearby, and that seems to work. I like the black and white element. Black and white elements seem to end up in my work all the time. So I just cut the border, I think it was 1/4 of an inch bigger than the little words. The little words were like 3/4 of an inch, and I cut it an inch. So it's got like 1/8 of an inch around it. And I'm sorry that that's off screen, but I didn't go back and forth a lot. I did go ahead and cut up a few things so that I wouldn't have to stop, because I know I'm going to use those same words throughout. This instance is especially where I liked using the Tombow glue, because I several times with this little statement, I didn't get it down right where I wanted it, so I was able to move it. And while I sort of look at where I put things, I never worry that it gets put back exactly. We've called that auditioning, where things go and it don't always end up exactly where you put them in the first place. As I said, if you want to see these more, watch it slower, there's always that option on YouTube where you can slow down the video. Sometimes the words were also about the color of them. It was funny. They're all subtle colors except for like one that I grabbed, and once in a while the color of it drew my attention when I was putting it on the page. Just so you know, I'm using a standard 1/4 inch hole punch when I do that. When I do the corners on the words, I just it's just a regular like office hole punch. And if you just reach on, just like put 1/4 of the corner in, you can get that ticket look. And the black background I'm using is just a black paper. Um, I have like a black sketch pad or something like that that I grabbed it from. Now, what I'm decorating is the outside covers of each signature. They are the original um, pages that started out as the brochure that came in the mail. And if you want to know, there is um, there will be a link at the end of this video. And I probably ought to start putting all of the parts and pieces into the description box. I'll see about trying to do that. That way you can link back to the first one. But each of the videos links back to the one previous of it. I did have a baby wipe out because I kept getting glue on my fingers. Standard procedure when you're gluing stuff down. One of the things about choosing a specific set of elements when you're doing a journal like this is that by choosing a specific set of elements, you can just start grabbing pieces, and it usually goes together pretty quickly. If you didn't notice, I just stuck wax paper in there because in case the glue had spread out from the edge, didn't want it to stick itself together. I have done similar collage things where I chose a set of elements. Even if I chose, say, magazine pictures, I would then choose another set of elements. One project I did, I used a certain piece of paper on every single page, or a certain piece of paper and a book paper. Um, that can lead to cohesiveness throughout your journal. Um, sometimes I don't care if it's cohesive. My little Sunday journal that we work on every week. And if you're not familiar with that, I do a live stream on Sundays at 1:30 Central Time. And I usually do what's called a little journal page. I've been doing them for years. Um, they're small pages, and I use the little leftovers that are on my desk, whatever little tiny pieces of paper and stuff on my desk. Sometimes if I clean my desk up, I have this little bin that I use. But those pages are always totally different. Random pieces get picked up and used. And that's fine in that journal. But in a journal like this that I want it to be kind of cohesive throughout, I choose elements. I just hope that makes sense. Somewhere along the line, I had to switch glue bottles. I think this is the first glue bottle. It it was running out, and I didn't feel like fighting with it when I was trying to work quickly. As I said, there was about 2 hours of video that I was working on this. I did realize later, and if you look at the page on the left, I've left that um, little white element kind of hanging up there in the air. The base of it is up in the air, and I kind of don't like that. After I looked at it later, I'll figure it out and fix it somehow. Put another little element on there or something. It looks out of place up there in the air. If I had placed my words over the bottom of it, I would have been happier. It's all right. I'll figure it out. But that's the one place where I looked back later and realized I wasn't quite happy with it. I'm also not sure that the pages are finished. That I sometimes do this too, where I go back and work through things again, and I'll add some doodles or something. We'll do that after I get all of the pages decorated. And right now I'm working on only the outside of the signatures, and I do have some plans for inside the signatures. That'll be next week. I only have so much time that I can work on this. So many days are taken up with other things. See, there's what I'm talking about. I placed the words over the bottom of that little black and white element, and it just tethered it to something. Ran out of little black pieces. Oh, another thing you can see is that I'm using the actual little tiny stamp pad to ink those edges rather than a handle and a foam pad. I will tell you that that little black stamp pad is as tore up as my little coffee stamp pad because I ink edges that way. I really like them kind of grungy and messy, so they're not smooth and have a small, soft line, they tend to have marks in them and things like that. If I want a smoother line, I do use a foam pad. It's one of those things, I kind of like the really grungy look of it. My little bright colored elements, that's a project in itself. They have paint on both sides of them, and that's because I started something and ended up changing my mind about what I was going to do with that particular project, and I'm using up those papers for these little elements in a different way than I started out with. They don't really need to have paint on the back of them. Let's see, I think we're working on our fourth and fifth page here. I must be struggling with this page for some reason. Usually I can figure it out a lot quicker. It also might be that I'm getting tired. I didn't take any breaks when I was working on this the other day, and that that sometimes can lead to, brain fog. And if I had taken a break or two, maybe I wouldn't have this set of pages might not have taken so much brain capacity up. It also might be the background or the fact that I'm running low on elements. Must have squished glue out. One of the things I always forget to say in my videos is if you like my videos, please press that little like button and subscribe. Um, I've had my channel now for several years. Things have changed on it. I cannot get as many videos made as I used to. I would love to be able to go back to streaming 2 or 3 times a week, but there is just no way I can take that kind of time away from my family. There's too much to do right now. I have ideas and ideas and ideas, but I just have to take the time to do what I have to do, and I'll have to do my ideas later. I'm sure we all have experienced that at some point. This little project has been a lot of fun, though. I'm really enjoying it. Um, for a minute before I added the paint to the pages, I wasn't really happy with it. Um, Always got to remember to just add another layer. If it's not something you're liking, if it's not going the way you think it should, just add another layer and go from there. Once I added the paint to the layers of magazine pages, I really, really started liking it. And the lady on the right does not have enough paint. These two pages both, I don't know how they managed to get right together, don't have enough paint to send everything to the background. So I ended up putting quite a bit of, quite a few elements on them and positioning the elements so that the image kind of slid to the background. More elements and larger elements. One thing I did find is that the black paper I used to back the sayings with was a just a lightweight paper, and if the glue was still a little wet, it was harder to punch the corners. So I was putting them on and then waiting. That's why I started not doing it immediately and letting them sit there. Just made it easier to punch the corners. By the way, the elements that are bright colors, they're actually on composition notebook paper. Um, it's funny how nice that kind of paper is once you start putting craft paint on it. And it's got a weight to it that's really nice for elements. I've really enjoyed working on these elements once I decided what I wanted to do with that particular project. Like I said, that sometimes we start a project and it just doesn't turn out like what we want, or we decide this isn't how we like to work, and I just changed what I was going to do with that particular composition book and have started putting these elements in it and really like it. Also like that it's a portable project. It works real well to take when we go on a trip. Needed a drink of tea. I think I have, yeah, I have 2 more signatures that haven't been finished. And I'm down to 2 elements, so I decided I would do the very back page, which I haven't decided what I'm going to do on the covers yet. But I figured if I just use my last 2 black and white elements for right this minute, and then I'll go on and I'm probably gonna not try to finish it on camera. I have to sit down and make a bunch more black and white elements, and I am actually almost out of the bright colored ones at this point. I have more made, I just haven't cut them out, and fussy cutting takes a little while, and I'd rather sit down and do it and make some more black and white elements before I go on. So I'll probably do the last couple of signatures off camera. Um, they'll be similar in every way to the ones you've seen today. The other thing is I got to the point where I couldn't remember which sayings I had used, and some of the sayings do repeat themselves. So I need to sit down and go through and figure out which sayings I've already used and set them aside so that I don't use them again. And I love this one. No ifs, ands, or buts. Mm-hmm. Yep. Next week, I'm going to work on the inside of the signature covers. I want to add some pockets and things like that. So um, you guys know me, or if you do know me, I love to make pockets and tags and things. I'm going to have to be careful and not add too many, or the book won't lay flat. But um, I sort of have some ideas for what I want to do. So I'll be decorating those as well. So it's probably going to take most of next week to do the insides. And of course, I need to make elements for that as well. So I hope you all are enjoying this journal. Um, I've had fun making it. That right there was one of the reasons I like that glue instead of the art glitter glue. Did you see how I slid the large element down some? It's just one of the things you can do with this Tombow glue that you cannot do with art glitter glue. Art glitter glue sticks immediately. And I'm just reusing the same 3 pieces of plastic wrap. But being out of elements, I'm going to stop there. It does mean I need to do the last couple of signatures, and I'll do those off camera. I am going to decorate the front. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do it, but with the same similar elements as I have been using throughout this today. So, and like I said, next week I'm going to do some pockets and things like that. But there's just some of what's been going on. There's the inside of the signatures. Um, yeah, see there, I realized I have messed that one up and I'm having to think about it. I'll figure out how to fix it. I did not fix it before I got off camera, but um, I'll do something. I may have to wait until I have cut out a few other things because I just don't like how that little element's hanging there. I have no idea why I missed that in the beginning, but it's one of those things that happens. As I said, I'll put a link to the previous video. Um, and I need to start putting links to the first video in the description box. These are the two I need to finish. Actually, there's four. There's four places I need to finish. So I'll get that done before next week. In the meantime, guys, go have fun. Make some art. Enjoy your day.